Good morning, everyone. My name is Tommy Pigeon.
I'm Robert Ma.
I'm Shannon Wei.
I'm Jyoti Jayawana.
And we're here today to talk about the employment growth issues facing the national industries of the blind. We want to start by reading off this quote here, which says, employers who don't hire blind people simply don't know what our capabilities are and don't know the realities about the equipment cost. To us, this symbolizes the two major issues facing the national industry of the blind today, in that they are preventing blind people from getting jobs because A, equipment costs so much, and B, people don't fully realize the value that can be brought to the firms by blind people. We broke this down into three smaller issues. One, the current markets that we are in, specifically manufacturing and the public service market, are not sustainable nor sufficient to stay in for our revenue streams. Two, there's inefficiencies with our relationships with the NPA agencies. And three, people, again, don't fully appreciate the values that blind people can bring to the table in a private sector firm. And so we propose three solutions to help improve the quality and quantity of jobs available for blind people, specifically in the private sector. And to do this, we propose three solutions. One, reduce barriers by decreasing the cost of technology for the firms that need assistive technology so that the firms can hire blind people. Two, leverage the network specifically with the NPA so we fully utilize all the resources we have all across the United States. And three, communicate with the people, with society, with the private sector, and tell them exactly what the value that blind people can bring to this firm.
So when it comes to finding a job, blind people face many barriers. One of these barriers is technology. This barrier is because many employers have a misconception about the cost or how effective technology is with work. So looking at reducing barriers, we really want to partner. The way we want to do this, we want to make technology not a weakness, but a strength in the eyes of employers. So how we're going to do this is we want to partner with a company. In this case, we found a company named Ceratech. And Ceratech is really unique in the fact that its founder was someone who's blind. Many of its employees are also blind. And what makes Ceratech truly unique is that its equipment, the assistive technology it makes, is made specifically for people who are going into business or into the professional world. We feel like this would be a really big asset for us because this really equips current employees as well as future possible employees with a possible competitive advantage over other employees or other job applicants. On top of this standardizes technology across our whole entire company, as well as this provides a way to further increase our training program. We know you guys have the business leadership program going on right now, and that's successful. We want to make that more successful and take it another step further by implementing new technology into it. So another way we want to reduce barriers is by coming up with a program for internships. As college students, we know how important it is to have an internship so that we have experience for a full-time job. And right now, people who are blind aren't getting the opportunities to land internships, and we want to change this. You may be asking yourself, what will motivate a company to hire someone who is blind? We want to motivate them, and we want to incentivize them by subsidizing the cost for the assistive technology. So when someone gets accepted for an internship, we will pay for the cost of the assistive technology for that 10 to 12 week period. And after they get hired on full time, the company will take on the responsibility for that technology. And we feel like this is important because this is getting people's foot in the door. We're getting people who are blind the opportunity to showcase their abilities and talents to these larger and bigger corporations. So we talked about going into equipping people better for work. We want to equip them to go into the service industry most specifically because we feel like the current manufacturing and public sector is getting too overrun with what's going on right now. So we want to equip them better, and we feel like the biggest weakness here is that the MPAs and NIB are too independent of each other. There's not enough of a relationship there for it to work out. So what we propose is a new organizational structure. We really want to make it so that the NIB is at the center and MPAs surrounding it are not only connected to NIB, but it's also connected to each other. We want the MPAs to be able to communicate with each other and see what's going on there. So this is kind of a map of what's going on right now. So NIB kind of is in central with the MPAs surrounding it, and there's not really a connection between all the MPAs. We want to change it so that there's a network between all the MPAs. So let's say I have a lighthouse up in Seattle, and they find a job out there that's not really related to them, but it's possible that another company can do it. Another company that's in this MPA network. So let's say I know someone who's in San Francisco who has the capabilities of doing this project. So I'll put it into the network, and NIB will find the person who's capable of doing this. And because of how standardized technology is across all the MPAs, this makes it really feasible for us to do.
At the beginning of our presentation, we identified several obstacles that the blind have traditionally had in trying to get into the workplace. And we have addressed and tried to mitigate those factors through first reducing barriers, and second of all, leveraging our network of NPAs. Now, these two strategies, standing alone, can only have a pretty limited scope in regards to how many people they touch. And therefore, this is where communication becomes key. It works to tie together everything and really amplify the effect of promoting equal opportunities within the workplace for the blind. Therefore, we really want to promote not only communication to the masses externally, but also communication within NIB's network with the NPAs. Therefore, one of the ways that we propose communicating to the public and to employers is through talent showcases, where they will be hosted by NPAs. And these showcases will be hinged on 4 basic things. The first will be finding a champion for the cause. This will typically look like an influential individual in the community who is, first of all, blind, and second of all, has been very successful in his or her area of expertise, be it business or media or whatnot. And these individuals' presence at these showcases will really work to grab the attention of the public so that we can inform them and educate them about the potential of the blind. And furthermore, it will also help open up doors to more funds and donations to come in, and also encourage employers to hire the blind, and also encourage the blind to really go after their dreams and after their interests. Now, one of the main reasons we're having these showcases, though, is for the blind to be able to show off their talents and their skills. In wanting to create more job opportunities for the blind, we don't want these opportunities to come from this idea of companies giving a social handout to the blind. We want to equalize the playing field so that the blind are able to not just be objects of social responsibility, but rather competitive candidates in the job market. Therefore, with this showcase, we allow them to really show off the things that they've been working on, the things that they've researched and accomplished in their areas of interest, to show employers these are people who are highly capable and intellectual. And furthermore, it'll also give employers the chance to interact with the blind and really get to know them on a different level and in a different kind of situation. Furthermore, these showcases will serve as a venue for Serotech, our partner, to market their technology to employers who are considering employing the blind. And second of all, the use of Serotech at these conferences will also give employers a better idea of, given the right resources and granted a reasonable price, the blind are really able to have the ability to succeed and excel in the workplace. And lastly, we don't want to forget Skillcraft. Even though we're really focusing on moving into the service sector, we don't want to neglect the importance of manufacturing to NIB. So therefore, we were going to use these showcases to show off Skillcraft's products and even try to sell these to companies to strengthen its brand. Now, basically, we have discussed a little bit about external communication. We also want to promote internal communication with the NIB. So at this point, you can see that NIB has a partnership with Serotech, and second of all, has this central role in the network. Now with this, we propose that NIB holds training sessions where it invites NPA representatives to a site where they can be trained on how to use Serotech's technology in a professional and business setting, and then be sent back to their communities where they can then teach the rest of the blind communities there about how to use these technologies and essentially build a very qualified workforce that can compete in the job arena. This, in combination with reducing the barriers that we've talked about, leveraging networks, and also reaching out to the public, will really help reduce those jobs that were initially off limits to the blind people, and really open up those areas of opportunity for them, so then they become options. With looking at our data, we expect, hopefully within the first year, to have an expected of 822 jobs created.
And now I'm going to go over the financial. The main purpose of financial is to show how this project is not only feasible, but also sustainable. Why? Because we have 3 streams of revenue. First of all, it comes from the direct profit sharing with Serotech, our partner, in which case they'll give us a discount if we buy their equipment and help them promote those equipment. Second of all, we'll also get revenues from 3.9% from the annual salary that the blind person that got a full-time offer make. And to keep in mind, this is only for those who go through the internship program supported by us and get a full-time offer. Otherwise, they won't have to bear any cost. And then lastly, also the new opportunities for the NPA themselves, because as people becoming more accepting to different employing blind people, there'll be more project services that come to our NPAs. This is just some assumptions for the revenue. We can go back to that later if necessary. And then these are just some of the important costs. And this is just another important point that I'd like to make, is that this project can be implemented in terms of different phases. What this helps is that this helps reduces the cost for NIB in the sense that NIB will have the option to either drop or continue in every face and make modification and improve in every stage, improve the implementation at every stage. And then here is just an estimation of the cost and benefit like different point in time. And it shows that although in the beginning, obviously to support those like subsidy for the cost, there will be a lot of initial cost, but towards the end, the benefit will outweigh it because of the network effect. And then more importantly, it will increase the job by a lot. At the end of like 5 or 7 years, the number of like double, fourfold increase like 4 times and so on.
Stop.
No, we can.
Yes.
This is y'all's turn.
If I understand correctly, so your primary focus is going to be on increasing services employment in the private sector as opposed to the product sector. Did you consider two things actually? One, product sales, increasing product sales in the private sector, similar to what they sell to the government. And then two, did you consider increasing the services that you're trying to sell to the private sector back into the government as well?
Sure, I can try and answer to that. So in terms of product, we actually, at the beginning, we explored different avenues of like how we can increase revenue, and obviously we explore the product. The only concern we have is that because StarTech NIB wants to focus on labor-intensive resources and want to use as many employees as possible. So in that sense, we feel that a services industry would benefit them more, just because manufacturing, in order to enter the private sector and like manufacturing industry, you have to compete with efficiency. Because nowadays, a lot of people are just driving costs, and a lot of products are being manufactured abroad. So in that sense, we find it's really competitive. So it's hard to enter the private sector. And for services, we are not closing the door to providing services to government. Because we believe right now NIB is also providing services to the government, CMS and all that. So we're not going to close that. We're just going to expand it in the private sector. We showed that in the services business, we can be competitive. So in that case, we can offer the both government and just the private sector.
Is this the existing services you're going to promote to the private sector, or are you looking at introducing new services to the private sector?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. And, in essence, right now, we have to work with the technology that's available to us. So because of that, a lot of services that we do offer to the public sector with government contracts will be similar ones that we try, industries that we first try to jump into in the private sector. For example, one of the industries that we looked at specifically is healthcare. Healthcare is one of the fastest growing industries here in the United States. Think of something like the last 22% growth rate in terms relative to other industries. And so what we need to focus on there is jobs such as like medical secretaries, right? And so when we come in, we can use the document readers technology provided by Serotech to come in and give the blind people a chance to work as medical secretaries, compiling files together, sending emails, doing call centers, that kind of stuff. So stuff that's similar to what we're doing in the public sector, but moving into the private sector. Ideally, we'd like to move into a wider range of services provided to the private sector. However, we will have to advance as technology advances with us so that the blind are fully capable of doing these different tasks in a way that the private sector won't be scared off by legal or liability issues.
I have 2 questions. So going back to your first chart, there were your three pillars kind of thing. Chart 1.
Just lowering barriers to organization and communication.
The first
Keep
one was
going.
leverage. Okay, leverage the network. So, you talked about the relationship with the MPAs. Did you think further about how to get those relationships, how to kind of jumpstart that? To get those relationships, the communication flowing with the relationships and improve the relationship?
Yeah, I can answer that. Well, right now, the only barrier is because in the private sector, MPAs can get their own clients. So in that sense, there's no need to go through NIB. So in order to strengthen that tie, is that we provide them incentive, and we're giving them training. And in the first part of the training, we're actually asking them to send a representative to the center, the NIB, to then train them with this new technology that we have partnership with, and so they can go back with their own NPAs, and then train their other people there, and then improve their community. We actually want each NAB to serve as a training center or for that local community. So not only will they improve the workers and within that industry, but they also provide training for blind people around the area. So they can provide jobs, opportunities, and overall they just serve as our arm in those 90. That's one of our biggest asset, right? 91 NPAs across the United States. So if we can incentivize them to serve as a training center and then just maintain relationship. For example, if one of them place one employees in this local business, then they'll also go out and make sure that the relationship between that employer and the blind person goes well. There's going to be social stigma and there's going to be problems, right? But then the NPAs will also serve as advisors, or how you can work better with the blind person, how they can benefit you. So that's our point with strengthening all this goal. But also by sharing opportunities, we feel that as all these NPAs share opportunities, for example, if they realize opportunity in Seattle, but other NPAs have more resources available to take on that incentive, then they could do that. So that will increase our opportunities in general.
The other question I had is the 3.9%. Is that a number that you guys came up with, or is that the 3.9% that the NPAs already paid to NIB?
That is the number that we came up with because, right now, NPAs only pay the NIB if they take a government project, right? So for services, we haven't really come up with anything, so that's kind of the number that we put because we give them first of all, the device, and then also we provide them the training. But that number could definitely be flexible. It's just our suggestion. And right now, with our current financial model, we haven't even charged anyone who just use our service. We only charge those who intern and use our product. So there are still different avenues of users, and it's a sustainable model.
So the 3.9% is 3.9% of. Just help me understand that piece.
3.9% of their annual salary.
Yeah, for
Goes-
first year comes back to me. So it kind of models the current practice we have with the federal government, and that when we arrange a contract, NIB takes 3.9% of that. That's revenue stream. So as we're acting as facilitators there with federal government between the project that they need done and distributing it to an NPA, same way here. Except this time we're connecting individuals with private sector companies, and so we're the ones connecting the two via these conferences. And so it's kind of the same, almost like agency, realtor kind of fee, in a way. We're the ones bringing the two parties together, making it work. And if they sign a full-term employment agreement, then and NIB should be compensated for helping to use their resources to bring it together.
So that 3.9%, sorry, going on here, but the 3.9%. So I'm blind, I get a job, then I pay 3.9% out of my salary. Is that right?
Only if it's through, right now currently in our models, only if it's through the internship program. If you get internship, then
Okay.
you get a
Like
permanent
the
job.
device.
I got
then
it.
you pay.
That's good.
3 minutes.
Could you talk about the talent showcase and how you're going to get people to attend that and who you're targeting to attend the talent showcase?
Yeah, so for these talent showcases, we're really going to rely on the NPAs that are spread out throughout the country. We're envisioning these showcases to be very local almost. And so the NPAs who, I'm sure they have connections within their communities, we are going to rely on them to actually go out and talk to local companies and businesses that they have connections with. And through the champion that we talked about in the local communities, they are going to be a big part of attracting people to come to these showcases. And so that is kind of how we envision drawing people in to come and really see what we have to offer.
If there's no more questions, we can move on to the conclusion. Okay, whenever you guys are ready.
Actually, I have a question. So, when I'm looking at your your training model, so you're training MPA representatives first, and then do the MPA representatives now have the responsibility of training, their people locally, and then launching the talent show? I'm trying to get an understanding of the division of responsibility here, how much of the burden of expanding capacities on NIB, and then how much of that burden is actually on the MPAs, and where do you know that they have the capacity to expand the site?
Right, so right now the model is we want to see as, originally it's training for trainers, essentially, as I always say.
Right.
So we're training representatives from MPAs. They come in a central location, we train them, they go back out to their each respective MPAs. And from there they train local community, whether it's people who are already employed or people who are prospective employees in the community. And like we did some analysis and looked at the numbers, and so right now there are 5,500 employees within the whole NIB system, including the MPAs. So there are 91 MPAs, right? So we're averaging out to like maybe like around 50, like around 57, average people at each MPA. And if we look for that, in our financial analysis, we estimated 100 trainees every year, training 100 people in each community every year. And we feel like because like we have like around 50 people and there are 100 trainees, like I feel like those are feasible numbers. Those are they have the capacity to do that.
But given that right now the MPs seem primarily product-based, and not necessarily a huge capacity in some services, you think that they can handle, their current manufacturing or product capabilities and add on additional service capabilities?
I do. I was going to say, we believe that mainly because of the fact that this is where NIB can serve. Again, we're trying to make NIB the central node again to kind of help facilitate communication between all of them and maximize the fullness of all the resources that all these MPAs have. And so while, yeah, it is asking a lot of the MPAs to do, at the same time, this is where we can step in and, when people start acquiring service opportunities in the private sector, so the example we have, Seattle has an opportunity, but they really don't have any capacity right now. They really don't, there's no workers who are either qualified or available to go work this. NIB can help facilitate that and put it right down the coast to either Portland, San Francisco, any of them, and they can take on responsibility if they have the available capacity. So in this sense, we're still bringing in the revenue that NIB needs and the MPAs need to help kind of still function, as well as giving employment opportunities to more people rather than in the past, if the opportunity came to the Seattle office and they didn't have capacity, that was the end of it. They didn't have the communication factors necessary to go pass the information back to NIB or pass it down the coast to the Portland or San Francisco offices.
Stop.
All right, so in the beginning, we presented with the question of like how can NIB increase the quality and quantity of blind workers. So we decided to kind of go deeper into that question and figure out why is the private sector is there a lot of people that are reluctant to take blind people, or why is it not developing? Well, we believe that the two main problems are because of the cost of the devices and technology that make that possible. Second of all, just the social stigma when people are just kind of reluctant to work and they don't know how it feels to work with a blind person, so they just don't take the risk. So here are a three-part strategy that start with like lowering the barrier in a sense that we subsidize, we make the cost lower to add these like workers. And second of all, also through the internship program, we want to integrate these workers and then we also will leverage our network. In that sense, we want to make use of that 91 MPAs and use that as our advantage to kind of like make an impact throughout the United States. And lastly, we'll also want to communicate our ideas because our training would mean nothing if we don't communicate it. And more than that, not just in communicating outside, like publicly to companies, we will also communicate to the blind community themselves. They need to have confidence that they see all these people getting jobs. They also have the opportunities because if you look at the pool of people now, like 70% of them are unemployed. So some of them might be discouraged. So this is what we need. Like the communication is also what we need for the blind community and from them.
There are risks to this project. There's no doubt about that. We can't fully anticipate the reaction of society in general to us trying to move into a new sector like this. We can't anticipate the specific reaction of the private sector services and how willing they are going to be to give us opportunities. But with this risk comes incredible opportunity because this moves us into a market that previously has been completely off limits to blind people unless they have some sort of connection to that firm already. This gives us a chance to go out into the community and utilize the network that we started to develop with the stronger connections to the MPAs, to utilize the training that we've got and the decreased tech cost, to give incentives to companies that says, hey, that you can bring these people in and they're going to be able to add the same value as any other person to your firm. And so we need to take advantage of this opportunity and this potential for not only increasing employment opportunities in general, but the quality of employment too. Creating jobs that will allow for career progression, not just one-stop jobs like manufacturing where you're on the same manufacturing line for 10, 15 years, but jobs where you can start out low and work your way up in a company because of the skills that you've developed and the business acumen that you know. And this, to me, represents the chance for NIB to do something more than just increase employment, right? NIB can serve as advocates for the blind. We can go out and we can say, look, we can help change the perception that blind people truly can add this value to companies that for some reason companies haven't acknowledged yet. We can go out and we can start to change the views of society that it's less of a public service to hire these people and more of it's a good business decision. It's a decision to go out there and really add value to your own company. And so from this sense, I view the role of nonprofits as someone who can go out and help advocate for the people. And so it's not only about increasing the employment opportunities here, but the depth and the scope of the employment opportunities, making everything more easily accessible for the blind people so that they have, now, no longer is it this door shuts them, but they have the privilege to be able to go after these job opportunities and to be able to access them and compete with them on a level playing field as everyone else. And we believe that our solution here, while it doesn't address the long-term problem immediately, is a great step in the first direction to help grow both the depth of employment opportunities and the scope of them. And we truly believe that whatever NIB, with the decision that NIB does, really can go out and change the world. Thank you very much.